So welcome, Jeff. I am so excited for you to be here today.
I'm excited to be here too. It's an honor and privilege to always spend time with you, and especially on this podcast here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We're going to absolutely add value to people today. Now, the reason I'm so thankful that you're here is because you were just recently in a contest or a sport that a lot of people just don't do, and you put yourself out there. We didn't know, well, you weren't feeling that great. That's why you're not all dressed up for me, you said. I think
Yes.
great. Yet tell us about what were you doing?
Yeah, so I decided about 3.5 years ago, kind of like in the almost in the middle of COVID, to get back into BMX bike racing, BMX motocross, and I did it as a kid from about 12 to like 17 years old, and got out of it. And then somewhere around the December of I guess it was 20 or so, going into 21, my wife had said to me, "Hey, what do you want for Christmas?" And I had said to her, "Well, I mean, I really don't need anything." But I've been previously, at home and so forth, looking at BMX videos, YouTube and so forth, and noticed that there's a lot of guys racing again at my age group. And I didn't know that as much. And I went by the local track and saw a guy there. I was 50 some years old. He's racing and he's like, "Yeah, you got to get back out here." So it inspired me. Wife said, "What do you want for Christmas?" I said, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to buy my own gift." I bought myself a new bicycle, a new BMX bike, right? Shipped to me in December. I put it together and I started training in January. And again, in the Northeast here, it's cold, obviously, but went to the track and for about 3 months and then got back in racing in March of 21. And so 3.5 years later, I'm at it and racing nationally, and I got sponsors and just doing my thing, acting like a 17-year-old all over again.
I know, isn't it fun though? Because we don't really get old. We believe we're old. And that's when it starts happening. And as long as we believe we're young, we can just keep going and going. Now, our bodies, though, sometimes they don't help us out quite as much. So you're in the nationals and you're doing really well. You're making all the finals. You think you're going to take the cup, right? What happened?
So this past weekend, it's a 3-day national. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and there were 17 riders in my age group, which is 51 to 55 in the expert proficiency. And not only the quality was there, amazing, but the quantity was there all at the same time. So, we have semi-finals. So it breaks down, there's 3 groups of us that are racing, 5, 6 of us at a time on the gate, 17 of us. And then they take the top two, and then they take the top 4. Then the finals is 8. So on the Sunday race, I was in the semifinals, and I think there were 6 of us on the gate, and I had gate 3, and guy next to me at 4, and the guy at 5, and there's a guy on the outside. I think he had to gate 7 or whatever. Guy at 5 comes over to the guy on 4, cuts him off, and guy at 4 runs into me, and we all slam together, and I slam down, and 3 other guys go. There's one transfer spot left, and so 3 of us are laying on the ground. The other 3 guys go and 1 spot left. So it was a dash to grab your bike and get going. So I was fortunate enough to grab my bike and get on it and get pedaling again around the track. And this is the very first jump of the track. So I had to go the whole track. And at the time I was just adrenaline, just going for it. Right. So I was able to make it through and get the transfer spot. But meanwhile, my side and everything, I got a handlebar into my ribs and my wrists. I'm swollen my wrists and all banged up here on my ribs and my hip and then my ankle. So it's just, I'm just going through trying to heal right now,
Right. And it takes a little bit longer, though, the older that we get. Are you going to give it up?
No. I mean, it's part of the game. This is part of it, right? Like, it is what it is. I obviously don't try to fall or crash, but it's for the sport that I'm in, it's inevitable. It's going to happen.
Right.
But, it's competitive and it's, you got to be aggressive. You got to be aggressive. Unfortunately, that's just what it is. So it happens.
Well, now, the reason I wanted to start out with that was, first of all, it hurts me. You showed me some of the cuts and bruises and whatnot, and I'm going, oh my gosh, it just made my whole body cringe. Yet we're really talking about your business too, because you've brought that exact thing, that aggressiveness, that let's go for it. I'm going to learn from my mistakes. So what did you learn from what happened at the bike trail, or the track, I should say? And how does that equate with your business?
That's a great, analogy and comparison. I think that, what I've been able to take to the BMX racing, the same qualities, characteristics, habits, that I do in the real estate world is right into BMX. I mean, I jumped right back into it, but I went and practiced, right? Put a lot of time on the track, had to rebuild my skills because in my mind, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I did it as a kid. But my body is totally different. The track is totally different. The bike is totally different. The geometry of the bike, the way you ride, what it is, what it looks, thinking that I can still do it all 33 years later. And the reality is, I mean, I've got a foundation that was created for sure, but I had to relearn a lot of it. And just like in real estate, right? But, like anything, I had to put a lot of practice in. I still do. And what's interesting is it's very parallel because I have a BMX coach, right? So I have a pro, right? He's a 20-year-old kid, and that's been racing all his life, and he's ranked number 2 in the world. He's been invited to the Olympics and things, and long story short, I pay him a monthly fee just like a coach, and he trains me, keeps me accountable, gives me a program. And so I'm treating it very similar in my real estate business, where I have for 30 plus years, and what's interesting is I've gone from 12 to 17 years old doing that, then 33 years later as an adult, which most of my family friends, they're like, are you nuts? Like, what you're doing, right? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But who I'm competing with now are a lot of ex-pros that did it, or some of them never even stopped. So there's people that are really, really good. But what's interesting is, I looked at it kind of like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I need to hire the right person. I need to learn the new skill set. I need to go practice. I need to put the time in. And then, so the first year, the way it works is you start out as a novice. You got to get 10 wins. Then you go to an intermediate class, then 20 wins. Then you go to the expert class. And I was able to do all that within about a year or so, which is pretty fast. And then, so the first year in, I was able to get a national plate where you get ranked at number 18.
Now, wait, this is at 50 some years old.
Yeah, I'm 52 now. Yeah. So the first year I was able to get ranked at number 18 in the nation. And then the next year, 14. And then for 24, I'm at 10, which my goal is to make top 10. So you got to think of it this way. Like, people are like BMX. It's like being on like the Masters or being in the senior tour of golf. You know what I mean? Like, there's still guys that can really 50 years old in golf that can still play at the senior level at very well. And that's the same thing in our sport. Same thing.
Well, and you're putting yourself out there. So congratulations. I bet people did wonder, though. What did your kids say? You've got 4 girls, and now they see Dad. He wants to ride a bike again. I mean,
yeah.
Teach you at all?
They think I'm nuts for sure. The older girls, I mean, they're now in college. So, this is COVID and all. They're like, oh, what are you doing? And they're doing their thing. Teenage, high school, and now college. They're not really paying attention as much. The little ones are paying attention more because, they're starting to learn how to ride a bike, and then, on Strider. So I get them out of the track. I'm trying to influence them to start. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, now that's pretty interesting because you've helped so many other people start in real estate. Let's get into that, because you've been selling real estate for how many years now?
It's been about 32 years.
And you've been
started in 92.
You've been a top agent for a long time. Whereabouts do you sell real estate?
So I live and work in Ocean City, New Jersey, which is in southern New Jersey. And basically our local market, we cover from Brigantine all the way to Cape May. So it covers like 2 counties. But it's all on the coast, all on the Jersey Shore, they say, so it's pretty much all of southern New Jersey. Then we'll go into the mainland about 20 miles in. So we'll cover a decent area, but primarily it's second home vacation resort market along the coast, which are all islands. They're these little, like I live in Ocean City, which is 7 miles long by 1 mile wide. So it's a very small, niche kind of business and marketplace.
And yet you're a top agent clear across the nation. You've been doing this for 32 years, and you literally have not missed a day of lead generation. In how many years?
Well, the story is that, we've always been kind of a prospecting based lead generator, agent, even as a solo agent. But I guess, the one day they got interrupted was back in September 11 of 2001. And we all remember what 9/11, remember that day. So that kind of interrupted my day for sure. But ever since, I mean, we don't miss a day ever.
Well, you were actually lead generating when everything started happening. You didn't know it because here you are in this room, no television on, no phone with you, nothing, right?
I had a cell phone with me, but at the time, and again, I was in the office early that day. And at the time in the office that I was in 2001, being a prospector, being lead generator, like most agents, well, a lot of environments today, it's a bullpen environment in a real estate office. And, if you start getting on the phone and dialing and calling, and agents look at you like, what are you doing? Right. They still to this day, like, you don't need to do that. And you're like a robot and you're scripted, or what are you doing? And, I used to get like kind of like made fun of and get some crap for it. So I would go in the conference room. And so I went in the conference room, said to my manager, I said, hey, I don't have a private office. There was no, prospecting lead generation space. There was just a bullpen, open area. And they're giving me crap out there. So I'm like, I'm going to go lock myself in a door in a conference room. So I went to my manager and I said, hey, would it be okay if I just built a stand-up countertop with hinges? So I could just, push the hinges up and down, and it would fold flat against the wall, and then I would just lift it up. I'd put a desktop land voice phone on there, a landline phone. And, I had a headset, and that was my office, right? Basically. And so I'm in there and making my calls and calling our clients and doing our thing. And, my wife calls at the time and, answer them. And now she knows not to bother me doing prospecting. It probably rang 3 or 4 times, and I was answered like very frustrated. Like, what do you want? Like, must be an emergency, right? Yeah. And, hey, she says, hey, you know what? You might not want to be making calls right now. Turn the TV on. And there was a TV actually mounted inside the conference room. Turn it on. And that's when we saw the planes hit the towers. And then I just stopped calling for the day.
We all remember where we were. Yet to be lead generating and have that happen, you have built such a habit here. What did you do to be that habitual around something that most people can't stand to do?
Yeah. Well, I think that, I just understood that, what, you and Tony have taught me, and there's 2 ways to get business. Either you can wait for it, or you can figure out how to go find it. And I chose that instead of waiting for it, being very passive in the activities, just to, hey, you know what, if I could go find it, learn who to talk to, what to say, how to say it, be more strategic. And if I'd learned how to do that in a way of outbound, I could kind of be more control of my time. It would be more predictable, more duplicatable. And you get paid for your skills. So found that right away and said, you know what? I learned that, okay, if I can have this conversation with these many people over a period of time, say this certain script or say these certain words that will cause an appointment, and I could do that every single day, and then realize, hey, from these appointments I get, the listings I can take, I just kind of took between the activity and my goals and kind of matched them together and said, this is the activity I want to do. Here's my goals I've set. And if I do this consistently, I can achieve a lot of the goals I have.
Yeah, and then consistency, isn't it?
It really was. Yeah, it's setting up the environment. So at the beginning days, I went into a conference room, locked the door, and closed the doorway, and that's what I did. I had to get my environment set up that way.
Yeah, and then it had to be days though you didn't want to do that.
So, yeah, for sure. There was doubtful days of things, but it's kind of like once you get going and see the results, it becomes such a habit. We all brush our teeth. At least I hope.
I hope
so. Right? But if you didn't brush your teeth in the morning, let's say, and you left the house, it feel weird. It doesn't feel right. It's something's off. Like you would never do it. That's what it became like. It becomes like once you get that habit so far, integrated and become you. So it's not an option.
So it takes us back to that bike racing. I mean, you said that you practiced, you built your skills, you've done the same thing in real estate, and yet you brought people along with you. Like you're riding the bike by yourself, yet you've built a team. How did you find people that would actually do that with you? Because they don't get off scot-free, do they? They don't just have you generate.
Right. Well, I think that, the people that I have, the agents that I have in our organization, our team, they before they come and join us, they have to come shadow us. They have to spend a little bit of time in the morning. They have to see what we do, how we do it, right? They've got to picture themselves. And then the question is, hey, the reality is, are you willing to be coachable and learn what to say and learn a script? Are you willing to stand up for 3 hours, like not sit down, be in a great environment, understand that, you have a place with, motivated music going on. You're going to be on a headset. Can you do this? And for 3 hours a day for the rest of your life. And they have to look at that and say, yes, I can, or they can't. And some people do come in and they'll look in shadows and say, this isn't for me, all the time. And there's people like, I want to be part of that. And I'm like, great. Then we can show you and teach you what this looks like and achieve anything and everything you'd want. So first thing is they come in and shadow us to say, hey, can I be part of this, and see themselves be part of this environment. And the environment is everything, because if you were to walk in my office, there's stand-up desks. I'm sitting down now in a conference room, but outside of this, there's no other chairs except for the lobby. But at everyone's desk and stations, it's stand up. There's no chairs. There's no stools, right? That's just what it is. If they want to sit down, they can come in the conference room.
Well, that makes higher energy, right?
Well, yeah, it's higher energy. It gets them moving. It gets them to be able to speak better. They can, their voices, everything about it is just the environment that sets them up for success. And then in addition to that, more recently, it's different now, but, and it's different these days, with brick and mortar or having a main office or not, but we don't have any incoming lines that come into our office that are inbound. So it's all goes to a system where, we have a menu and, it can be routed, and then our VA or our staff takes those messages and send them back to our agents. So we don't have receptions at the desk with an inbound line coming in that's transferring calls, interrupting our agents, right?
Yes.
So
you lead generate. It's like you've got the blinders on. You are lead generating.
Yeah, and then their team, the way the team is set up is they understand that, 9 to noon for us is income generation time. And for them, it's income servicing time. So our staff will never email, text anyone between 9 and noon on our team, salespeople. And if the salespeople text them or email them or try to get in touch with them, they won't respond. And they do, because they sometimes do. Like, I need to know about this, right? And I don't even know why they do it, because they're not getting a response. So there's 2 different departments that are going on that understand each other, how it all works, to make sure that, hey, you do your job at this time, right? Which is keeping us in what we call our 80%, our top 20% of activities of the delivering 80% of the results, right? Like we call it plans.
And
prospect.
Oh, go
right?
ahead.
Yeah, so that we just call it plans. And then so like when an agent comes in to our organization, want to come work with us, we say, look, we call plans, prospect, lead follow-up, go on appointments, negotiate, work on your skills. Those things right there, keeping plans, 20% of their activity has to be spent in that. The other 80% is income servicing. We'll remove everything else off of your plate to take care of all that stuff. You stay in this right here, and that's what I want you to work on. And I'll teach you, train you, mentor you, and show you how to be the best at that. And we'll take everything else off of your plate. So we have an environment kind of set up that way.
You've done a great job of teaching them. And the plans, I really like that. Say that again.
So plans, yeah, plan stands for, the P stands for prospecting. The L stands for lead follow-up. The A stands for going on appointments. N stands for negotiating. And then S for scripts and skills, plans. So work the plan.
And that's the rule of 5.
Right.
It's the 5 things every single day. You're going to be successful. So tell us just about the success, because you've sold a lot of homes. While other agents went down in 23 and 24, you didn't do that. So tell me, how many homes did you and your team sell last year, 2024?
We were the small team. We got rid of a lot in the last 3 years, right? So it's just really 4 other agents. We did 125 units. With 4, yeah. Yeah, just under 80 million.
Isn't it fun to have that small group that every single person is gung-ho on the vision?
It is. It's challenging, but it's they are like little SEAL team. I mean, it's when it's good when you have an agent that does 50 some units, one of them, and then everybody else is doing 30 or whatever they do. You know what I mean? 30. I got Frank who's been with me for 21 years. Actually, his will be 22 years coming up. I think Friday's his anniversary here.
Oh my word! Now, does he still practice scripts and dialogues with you?
All the time, every day.
Everybody practices every single day.
Well, okay, they're supposed to role play partners, right? But here's the thing: we as a team. So I teach 2 things. Mondays and Wednesdays is a script masterclass. Mondays and Wednesdays at 12 noon. Always like yesterday. Today's Tuesday. I did a whole NLP class, like all old school, embedded commands, adverb presuppositions. The more the X, the more you Y, like all that kind of stuff. So it's a whole nother advanced script, like scripting. So I'll mix that in too. Mondays and Wednesdays, 12 to noon, has to do around scripts. Tuesday's a team meeting, like today we had, and that's going over high level stuff, whatever's going on, the numbers of the team, where we are, what our vision is, what's our goals for the month, where's everybody sit. We go over a board about like the pipeline, who's working on what. And then Thursday is nothing. Then Friday is a coaching call, kind of myself coaching the team on a certain topic, not away from scripts. Sometimes it could be scripts, but maybe it's just a different topic, of market of the moment. A lot of the NER stuff, the scripting around that, our listing agreement. How do we present with new, ways in our listing presentations, things like that. Some type of coaching call. Well, that'll be. So if they're not getting their practice from a role play, they're getting it from me and the team every single, basically 4 days a week, 4 hours of some sort.
So are they in the office every single day lead generating, or do they do it from home?
They're here. So I have what I call my elite team, which shows up every day. We're on a huddle call at 8:15 in the morning. They dial in for that. 3 things we talk about. What is your goal? Where are you so far? What are you committed to for the day? 8:30, role play with role play partners that they're doing on their own. 9 o'clock, they're here. 9 to noon, prospecting, right? Lead generating, stand-up desk, the whole deal. And then the noon to 1, it comes in that training every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. But they're here. So that's the elite team. I have a separate group I brought on last couple of years called the pro team. These are agents that are like part-time, dual career, can't make a commitment full-time, and they kind of just plug into our resources. If they want to plug into our training, they can by Zoom, but they don't get the whole what these guys get. But these are agents that are still able to kind of be around us and associate with us, but they're not required, and there's no standard for them to come in.
Okay, so there's a standard for the elite team and the pros. And then the interesting part, though, it's almost like you're training the next generation to come up and to join you. So have you had any of the part-timers actually come full-time over the years?
Yeah, so it's kind of building that bench a little bit, right? Because I've got a mixture. I've got a retired police officer, but then he just got injured with his knee, so he's going through some surgery, so he can't come back. But anyway, he's looking to come back full-time. So he's kind of a retiree, but getting a second career. Still young. He's like 50 some, 51. And then I got a couple other ones that are 19 and 20 years old that are just trying to get enough money saved right now. One just did a deal. Out of this one deal, he should have enough to go for a while. But yeah, they're the younger kind of crew that I can just build up, that once they get a little bit of money under their belt from their other job by saving, being disciplined, not spending money, going crazy at the bars and so forth, I can bring them up and get them in here. So that's kind of the goal behind it. Here's what happened. Here's what I also noticed. A lot of these young people don't have the 6 months, 9 months of savings, right, in the bank about to get in real estate full time. They just don't. But they love to be around us and learn. All right, so here's the deal. Come in. I'll set you up with this program. You don't have to show up. You don't have to have the accountability. In fact, I'm not even going to worry about you. You do your thing. If they want to plug in, great. I'm not, me as a leader, they can be around. They show up, great. I'm not chasing them for numbers, reporting, no accountability, right? But they'll get this access and, help them. They understand the path of what they need to get to. So that's that. But I also noticed that there's some other agents out there that maybe are, 1, 2, 3 years in the business that are still doing some deals, right? 6 deals, 7 deals. They're not full time, but they're doing okay. And, maybe they're not in prospecting every day. Maybe they're getting their business from open houses every now and then, or social media, right? But so before I was kind of like, all right, well, I'm only focused on my elite team that are going to show up every day. There's a whole other group out there that would like to be in the lead team, but they're still doing some deals that can now plug into us that will eventually come over, but they're still doing some deals over there. Now, we don't get a lot of deals out of them by any means, but there are agents like that, that I noticed.
I like that. It's kind of like in sports. You've got your star players, and then you've got the bench, right? Your red shirts. And I know when I was in sports, we had the red shirts, and then you made it to the elite team, and everybody was working to get there. We just couldn't go on it right away. Now, one thing I also know about you that people learn from you is you're very creative, and you come up with ways to lead generate that most other people don't. When one thing starts dropping off, it seems like you find another one to go after. Let's talk about some of those things, like your past clients, expired listings, some of the areas that you really delve into.
Yeah, I mean, here's what's interesting right now is the older days of prospecting by phone and getting, making 30 contacts a day. It's become difficult because people aren't answering the phone. Do not call. Like, it's getting harder and harder to get people on. Like, we don't have a problem. When we get someone on the phone because we're skillful, we can convert, but just getting them on the phone, right? So you got to get a little more creative on, okay, how can I find and get to these people when they're not going to pick up? So, texting, having the right campaigns, social media posting, voice broadcasting, email still big, right? Like doing the right email, being able to be creative in the email message, being able to get them to be able to hand raise, using technology right now around providing good value. If you get someone's, get a good database of emails and cell phones, be able to deliver something to get the hand raised. Like, I play this game all the time. My game I play in my head, now it doesn't happen, but the game in my head is, how can I get 100 inbound hand raisers a day? That's how I think. Like, I need people to, from an outbound message of some sort, be able to respond back. How can you get 100 of those, right? Or play that game. Right now, I'm not getting anywhere near 100, but we get a lot, So we'll do certain campaigns to our database through texting and make it creative. One thing we're using right now, just to give you is, Mr. Seller, hi, Mr. Seller first name, right? Hi, insert first name is, would you be open to a cash offer, whether on or off market? That's, yeah, sure.
That's raising their hand then, right?
Yeah. Right. So, little messages like that are short, sweet, impactful, that those that are motivated, maybe want to sell, will respond back. And we get those type of responses from our database through our CRM all day long. So it allows us to just now have a conversation, right? Have us engaged, and then using our CRM with our outbound messages. We're using Ryan Young's fellow right now that's doing a good job inside of our database. That's getting hand raisers right there, which is good, through cash offers, home valuations, and CMAs. So we're using technology too to help enhance a lot of this and be creative. But it's more than that. I get creative in my mind thinking about, okay, how smart can I be in the data? Like, who do we need to be calling or reaching out to versus just a regular cold call, just listed or, circle prospect? Like, we understand that there has to be a need, right? The diapers, diamonds, divorce, all that right now, right? Like, those are people that have to sell or there's a need to sell. All right, well, how do we find them, right? How do we find the people that have, mortgage rates that are over 8%, right? Like, finding those people that may be, in default or the probates. So we get a little more and then we go all in on them. We go in our database and say, okay, hey, give me everybody, for example, yesterday, give me everybody who looked at a market report in the last 60 days, right? At 147 of them. So somebody went in our database, they looked at the market report, and I'm like, all right, well, these 147 people have engaged to know what's going on. That has to be our focus, right? So there's nothing magical creative. It's just be a little bit more smart, I guess.
There's a magical part that I'm hearing here. It's the way that you ask yourself questions. It's the way that you think. It's kind of like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I know you've read that book, and many people have. Yet think about, how did the poor dad think compared to the rich dad and how he thought? And that's what I'm hearing here over and over and over again, Jeff. You think differently and you ask yourself questions. Have you always asked yourself questions?
I think I've learned how to ask questions. I don't think I always have. I mean, I've always been inquisitive, and I think that I've been coachable through coachability. I've always asked coachable questions, even as a kid. Like, if I'm playing hockey or BMX racing, or I still do it today, like whatever, like, hey, did you see that shot? What do I need to do differently? Like, or playing tennis, I was a tennis player. Like, I would always, how could I hit the ball better? Or where should I be positioned? Questions like that are, I guess, naturally probably for me with that. So I think that's interesting. You picked up on that, because I do it every day. I said to myself, there's questions in my head. I said to my team today in our team meeting, like, let's be more strategic about it. What questions do you need to know? Like, who do we need to call? And so our goal right now, we have 25 days left for the month. We got to get 20 more listings as a team. That's we got to get, right? So today, question I asked them, who could you call today to get a listing from? Like, no matter what, like who, but if your life depended on it. I said to Ryan today, I said, if I had to cut your hand off today by 5:00, but you had to get a listing, do you think you could get it? Yeah. Right. But, do you think you could? Yeah. Well, do you have the skills to say? Well, then let's go figure out who is it that you could call today to get one. Right. Like, you just you got to think about it. Ask that right question. So we ran in the room and said, oh, I could call this guy. Oh, I could call this guy. Yeah. Then let's go do that and ask them the question. Now, here's an interesting thing that I'll bring up. It was June of, not this past June, so that would have been 23, I guess. I plan a member guest golf tournament, and it starts on a Thursday. It's practice on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I invite a guest to my club, and it's a big event. It's a big deal. And at the time, I had a coaching call with my coach at the time, Craig, and it was on a Monday. And we were already behind for the month for our listings taken. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, he goes, he says to me, how many listings do you need to get caught up? And I said, I think we need 5. And I went to my listing partner, Rob, and long story short, he said, well, here's the deal. He says, are you, what's the accountability like you willing to put on yourself? How about he brought that? How about this? You don't get 5 listings by Thursday, your practice round. You don't play. You need to call the club, say, I'm out of the club, you and your partner, my guest. And I said, I can't do that. I get kicked out of my club. They already have everything, the whole, field already set, the whole event. It's a big deal. I'd be embarrassed. Like, what am I doing? I didn't get enough listings. I can't play in my club. Right? I said, there's no way it's going to happen. He says, well, that's your accountability this week, whether you like it or not. You need to get 5 listings. Okay? 5 by Thursday. And this is a Monday. So and by the way, it's just interesting. Rob on my team and Ryan on my team. Ryan belongs to a different club. Rob was his partner and a member guest the same weekend. So we all have the same events, different clubs. One's a guest, those guys play together, and I had my other buddy. So I come back to Rob. I said, Rob, here's our accountability. You have to agree. Would you agree? You don't play in a member guest either. I won't in mine unless we get 5 listings. Let's figure this out. He goes, I'm in. So that was at 2:00 on a Monday. By that night, we just went nuts. Who can I call to get a listing? Where do I find one? Where do I have to say? And we went and scattered on anyway. So Wednesday, we had already gotten 3 by Wednesday. We're driving back from one of the appointments that we got, driving back. I'll never forget it. We get a call from somebody, like a come list me kind of call, like out of nowhere. Like, hey, I'm calling. I want to get it on the market now. We've already working, whatever it was. I forget who it was, but it was like, all right, we can get this done now. Right. Then I'm driving. He's in my car. I drive by a past developer client of ours, owns a lot of property. I look at it. I go, I'm calling him. His name's Steve. I call him right then on the phone. I said, hey, Steve, it's Jeff. Hey, what are you doing? Blah, blah. I said, what do you have right now off market, not committed to an agent, that you want to sell that you can list with me today? He goes, well, I'm thinking about, this unit over here that I'm going to renovate it and sell it. Or if you can sell it right now at this price, I'll sell it all day long. I said, are you willing to give me a shot and list it with me? Yeah. What do you want for? $580 or whatever it was, $599 list. I said, good. I'm sending you the agreement. You need to sign and get it to me. Can you do that for me today? Because yeah, you sell it for that. I'll pay you. It's your listing. But if you don't get it done in a certain period of time, I'm taking it off. I'm renovating it. And then I'm doing it myself because he's a developer. Done. Send it out that night. That Wednesday night, 5th listing taken. Yeah. So
let's stop right here because this is so good, Jeff. You didn't say, I can't do that. Oh, poor woe is me. Who is my coach thinking he can talk to me that way? You didn't go into victimhood and you didn't go into villain like, oh man, we've got to, and you come down hard on the people. You said, hey, are you in? Are you willing to do this with me? Are you willing to take this on? You literally made a decision right then to be the hero of your own life. And you said, how can I do it? Not, I can't do it. Right? And I think that's the biggest thing that I see with you. You think in terms of can, and other people think in terms of can't. Now, not everybody, yet the ones that there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't have taken that accountability on at all. They would have argued with their coach. Meantime, you took it on. You did it. I'm glad. How'd you do on the golf tournament, though? I've got to find out.
That year, how did we do? It's the same. I have the same partner. So I don't remember that year.
So
we didn't win. We didn't win by any means.
you're getting older, my friend. You're getting older.
Yeah, we migrated out of our flight, I think, but advanced a little bit, but we didn't win,
Hey, as you get older, you just remember. You'll remember your names and your wife can remember where you're going, right? It'll work out. So you follow a lot of numbers. And you look at the numbers because they tell the story, right? I mean, monthly marketing reports, videos, emails, social media, just listed, just sold, phone calls, CRMs. I mean, you're doing all sorts of numbers, yet we all have vital signs. There are a few numbers that you have to know daily. What are those numbers that you and your team go over?
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, so there's the daily numbers. And then there's the overall numbers. Like today, at our team, every week on our team, we discuss how many closing pending are we, where we at closing pending as far as the volume, how many units, what's our goal, what do we have to make up, right? Where are we? Are we on track? Because we're behind. It's January. January's done. We're February 4th. We're already done. We're behind. We got to catch up. That's why we got to get 20 more listings. And by the way, I put them down today a little bit, a hammer on them. Because what I noticed is our team, they're not motivated by pleasure. They're motivated by pain. Because I've been trying to get them to be motivated by pleasure about these 20 listings, and it's just not going, right? And I'm like, guys, I mean, you say you want all these great things. I'm willing to give it to you. Look, you tell me what you can do, and I'll give you the terms, right? You want X. hey, I said to one of my agents today, Mike, because he's a newer agent and he's driving a car that he doesn't like and his wife has a nicer car. I said, Mike, you want a nicer car? How many listings can you get this month? And he goes, 3. I said, fine. I said, fine. 3 listings. What's the car you want? He wanted whatever it was. I said, how much is that car? He goes, I don't know. The payment's $450 a month. I said to him, I said, okay, what, like $6,000 a year? I said, fine. You go get those 3 listings. I'll pay your first year. Right? Like, that's what I said to him. And then he was brand new. Right? And he's never even taken a listing yet. Right? But I'm just putting it out there. These guys, like, fine, you get this. I'll name the terms. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is that how bad do they want it? So why I'm bringing this up is going back to this 20 listings. Here's what the accountability is for the team. If they don't get the required amount of listings, so Rob's way behind. He has to get 8. Frank has to get 4, right? Like if they don't get it by the end of the month, they'll have to go jump in the ocean. So, right, that's the pain. It's 37 degrees in the water temperature right now, right? So they're going to run from here, from my office, which is 3 blocks to the beach, right? They're going to run there and go jump in the ocean, all of them, right? If they don't hit the goal, So we got to associate a little bit of pain towards it. What I've noticed about the teams, just like the pain with me was, I can't play in that golf tournament. I got to do it, right? No matter what, I got to commit to it. So I got to get them to commit to this stuff to get these goals because we're behind. So the numbers, are the overall ones is kind of know what your goal is and where you are. And I asked the team this all the time as a team, but then I say to them, do you know where you are? How many listings have you taken? What is your closing pending and your income that you've already gotten versus what your goal is? And most agents don't know right away. They should know the scorecard. Right. I need them to know where they are, right? They're winning or losing at that moment in the game. So we look at the overall numbers and then, really the daily number is contacts made. Just people that you talk to, contacts made, and appointments set. Like how many people you talk to and how many appointments are you committed to going on is our kind of our 2 KPIs we look at, key indicators on a daily. And they report those every day. And there's accountability behind that. So they report every single day. It's, we give them a link that gets texted to them as a reminder. If they don't report their numbers, it gets sent to me by 8:15 on that huddle call every morning. I get to report. And if someone doesn't report their numbers, then they are shut off of all leads and admin and administrative tasks for 1 week. 1 week. If you need a contract typed, you need a listing agreement typed, if you need to enter in something in the MLS, sorry, you got to do it on your own. You need to report your numbers.
Oh yeah, that would make me report my numbers. That's a little crazy. Now, you come up with a lot of creative ideas, and you've helped so many people through those creativity ideas. And so, what's some of the crazy things you've done recently
in real estate?
Out of the market ideas that you have for some of the people listening.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only crazy things that we're doing, not that it's crazy, is, we're making offers on properties. Like if we see some off market cash offers. Yep. We're going out right now and I probably make, it's interesting. I did one, what's today? Yeah. Yesterday. I did it on Sunday, emailed it over on Monday. Yesterday, one of our own listings, So Ryan listed a property for $329.9. Place is a dump, right? Needs a lot of work. I haven't even been in it yet, but he comes back. He goes, I got this place. It needs a lot of work. It's perfect for a flip. I'm like, okay, good. It's got the right bedrooms and baths. I haven't been in it. So I just put a letter of intent yesterday together for it, typed it all up. All right, signed it, docu-signed it, emailed it to Ryan after 12 noon because of prospecting, right? So you got it. Now list price is $329. I offered him $247.5. Contingent upon me getting inside to see it, as is, no leases, just a letter of intent, 1 page. Yesterday he goes, I talked to the seller is considering it. Today he comes back and goes, they're going to take your deal. By the way, the septic is bad. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. It's 30 grand right there.
Yeah.
But anyway, he comes back and tell me that they're going to do it. So now I got to go look at it and see if it's going to make sense or not. But that's kind of like I'm going out there shopping for opportunity.
Well, yet you do have opportunity. You have done so well in investing in real estate, because it's a great way to multiply your money. I want to have you back, and let's talk about investing in real estate in all the different ways because of our time today, because I just want to go through some things with you, because you've built so many people's confidence. You've helped establish things with them. You're on Zillow, Google. I mean, you do all sorts of stuff that we've got to really delve into. And our time is up today. However, I do want to have you back. So we're going to do some rapid fire with you here. Just have some fun, Jeff. So what's your favorite creative hack?
Favorite creative hack? ChatGPT.
Okay. What's your bootstrapping trick?
Bootstrapping trick? What do you mean? Bootstrapping? How does that?
What is the one thing that just you can strap your boots on with it that you wouldn't go without every single day other than lead generation? Do you have a trick or some kind of trademark that you have?
So one thing I do every day that no one really sees that I do is I listen to a podcast, an audiobook, education, some sort of something while I'm in the shower.
Okay, so that is a great trick, let me tell you, because you're learning, because I know personal growth is really important to you. What are your 5 passions that you want to talk about?
Obviously my family, my kids, right? Goals, what I'm doing for fun. I'm passionate about learning what other people's successes are. And I'm very goal driven. Like I want to know, like I'm very, passionate about achievements for future.
I agree with that one, because I know you. And so tell me 3 steps that you think anybody getting into real estate, the first 3 steps they should take.
Number 1 is an agent needs to learn the language of sales. Step 1 is they have to understand the scripts required, objections that you're going to get. That will build their confidence. So confidence is number 1, and how they get that is understanding the language of sales, to what to say and how to say it, objections. And if they could learn that, their confidences rise, right? The confidence rise, and then they'll be able to go out on appointments. Second part is I think that an agent today needs to build their online reviews. They need to go online and get reviews from their past, or they don't have past clients, but their center of influence, their family, their friends, and they need to build the credibility online so they can then take that out to appointments and say, hire me because look at my 15 5-star reviews, my 50 5-star reviews. If they could build online reviews, and in that process, they build advocates that will give them, if they give them a review, they'll give them a referral. So calling people they know and asking them for an online review, even if they haven't even done business with them, they could just give a character reference. That's all they need to do. And that's free. Confidence build, online review. And then third, they need to study and shadow top producing agents to learn how they think and the habits that they have.
Those are good. So what's the best way to find your first customer in real estate?
Someone that you know, family and friends and center of influence, because they already love you, like you, and trust you. And if you can build rapport and have trust, they'll do business with you.
Okay.
So
your dream technology.
And AI, they can be me.
And that's coming, right? What's your best entrepreneurial advice?
You got to take risk. Don't be afraid.
Okay.
Have blind faith.
What's your biggest mistake you've made?
Probably not taking as much risk as I need to. Being fearful. Because it almost always works out.
Who is your favorite entrepreneur and why?
I like Richard Branson.
Yeah.
He seems to be out of the box, innovative. I like entrepreneurs that started from nothing, right? So he's someone that comes to mind quickly.
Excellent. And so the last question, if you could be a superhero, who would you be and why?
Superman. And why? I think that if there was one thing I could do, if I could fly, right? If there's one thing as a superhero I could have, rather than swim fast or, any of that, if I could fly, right? If you can fly, you can get things done quick.
Well, and you wouldn't have hit the ground when you were on that bike. That's for sure.
That's right. That's true. Exactly.
I love all those things behind you, the be, do, have. You teach people how to treat you. Oh my word, the whole wall, there it is. All those bold laws that I was able to bring to everybody. That's so fun. Come from contribution. I know that you do that each and every day. For all the people listening, I know they're going to want to get in touch with you, if nothing else, for referrals. So where would they find you on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc.? How would they find you?
Sure. It's basically everything at Jeff Quintin. So Facebook, Instagram, jeffquintin.com. I'm rolling out a new Quintin sales system that's coming out. I'll have some courses and some training and some mentorship and a community that I'm building there, which is pretty cool. So we'll be rolling that up. But everything at Jeff Quintin, just my name.
Yes. And so let's spell your name for them. Quintin. So let's make certain we get that correct. Jeff, you have helped us so much today. We are going to have you back to talk about investments and some of the things that you've done to build your wealth. And more importantly, not just make money, build wealth, because that's what it's all about. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Dianna, thank you. It's always a pleasure. Greatly appreciate it.